But the tragedy with us human beings, we only remember God on the negative way. We know Him when we're suffering. But what about the daily gifts that He gives us?
My feeling is we all have to die sometime. If it's my fate to die by an assassin's bullet, so be it. But I cannot be petrified by inaction or fear of assassination, and therefore stay in a corner. I have to suffer with my people. I have to...
Benigno Simeon Ninoy Aquino Jr. o mas kilala bilang Ninoy Aquino ay tubong Tarlac. Siya ay anak ni na Benigno Aquino Sr. na isang politician at Aurora Lampa Aquino sa mayamang angka na tinatawag na Hacienderos at ang orihinal na may-ari ng Hacienda Luisita. Si Ninoy Aquino Jr. ay sumunod sa yapak ng kanyang ama na naging senador ng Pilipinas noong 1967 at siya din ang hinirang na pinakabatang senador sa panahong iyan. Bilang isang senador at journalist, naging matunog at maimpluwensya siya sa panahon ng rehimeng Marcos. Matalik na magkaibigan si Marcos at Ninoy Aquino dahil na rin sa isang fraternity group na pareho nilang kinabibilangan na tinatawag na Upsilon Sigma Phi. Madalas magkausap si Marcos at Ninoy dahil naniniwala si Ninoy na matutulungan niya ang rehimeng Marcos sa pagsugpo ng mga lumalalang katiwalian ng bansa, lalong-lalo na ng mga grupong komunista na nagpapahirap sa katahimikan ng bansa. Malapit ang puso ni Ninoy sa paglilingkod sa pamahalang Marcos dahil gusto niya ng pagkakaisa, at ang last choice niya para makuha niya ang loob ng mga komunistang rebelde ay kaibiganin ang mga ito. Ngunit sa hindi inaasahang pagkakataon, lumala ang mga pagtatrato ng mga komunista, lalong-lalo na sa mga inosenteng kababayan natin. At natunugan nga ng Administrasyong Marcos ang plano ng mga rebeldeng grupo na pabagsakin ang gobyerno sa panahong yan. Kaya naman ang tanging paraan lang ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos ay ang pagdeklara ng martial law.
I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
At sa hindi inaasahang pagkakataon, hinuli ang halos lahat ng mga rebeldeng grupo at pinatawan ng kamatayan. At sa hindi inaasahang pagkakataon, kahit masakit sa loob ni Marcos, kinakailangan niya ding ipatakip si Ninoy kahit na kaibigan niya ito, dahil sa pakikipagkaibigan nito sa mga rebelde, dahil ito ang nakasaad sa batas. Sa isang panayam sa interview ni Chris Aquino kay Bongbong Marcos, nabanggit ni Bongbong ang pag-uusap ni Marcos kay Ninoy noon.
Your father asked this, sabi, Brad, bakit mo naman ako kinugulong? Bakit mo naman ako linagay sa Fort Bonifacio? Ang tanong naman ng tatay ko sa'yo, Brad, kung ikaw nasa posisyon ko, hindi mo ba gagawin? Ayun, nagtawanan silang dalawa.
Nais ng mga kaalyado ni Marcos na sentensyahan si Ninoy ng bitay, ngunit ito'y ipinaglaban ni Marcos. Hanggang sa napagkasunduang dalhin na lang si Ninoy sa solitary confinement, isang kulungan, pero ito ay mas kombinyente sapagkat sa confinement na ito ay puno ng amenities at magandang kama na tila nakakondo lang siya. At dito laging nagkakausap si Ninoy at Marcos dahil hindi sang-ayon si Ninoy sa martial law. Dahil bilang leader ng oposisyon, tungkulin niya ding suwayin ang inaakala niyang pagkakamali ng Administrasyong Marcos. Ngunit sa kabila ng kanilang trabaho, sila pa rin ay magkaibigan. Punong-puno ng problema at stress si Ninoy sa panahong iyan, at kahit na siya ay debotong Katoliko, hindi niya alam paano kumapit at magdasal sa Diyos. Pero sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, sa solitary confinement pa lang, makikita ni Ninoy ang kalayaan na kanyang hinahanap. Sa isang panayam kay Ninoy ni Pat Robinson sa programang The 700 Club noong June 1981, nagpapasalamat si Ninoy sa maliit na telebisyon na binigay sa kanya Dahil dito, nakilala niya si Kristo sa programang The 700 Club.
Good things is obviously, or at least there seems to be religious freedom in the Philippines.
Oh yes, that is one of the
Which is a very
greatest
good
things. In
thing.
fact, your program is one of the most popular program in my country. You know, when I was in prison for 7 years and 7 months in solitary confinement, one of the great bonuses I have is this little television that they gave me. And at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, your program came in strong every day. And Channel 7,
Yes.
which is a small station in Manila, but throws the best signal. It has one of the best programming for day. You have a pre-program on 12 o'clock slot, the student canteen, and then the 3 o'clock 700 Club comes in, and that kept me company in my solitary cell.
7 and 8, well, not 7, but for
No,
many
no,
years.
I think
we
it came
were-
in about 76, 77
That's right,
in Manila.
that's right.
And so I was listening to this, and every time you would have a testimony, I would feel sort of a affiliation to it, because I also felt the same thing about the good Lord.
Sa taong 1980, nagkasakit si Ninoy at naatake ang kanyang puso.
In 1980, I suffered a heart attack in prison. And for 40 days, the military doctors were saying that it was a mere muscle spasm. Then on May 5, 1980, I was brought to the Philippine Heart Center. And the civilian doctors at the Heart Center said I was suffering from progressive angina and I had to undergo a triple bypass. Otherwise, I won't survive. Well, I refused to have my operation in the Philippines and I insisted that I must be allowed to go to Dallas, Texas. There was a big discussion. Then one day, on May 8th, to be exact, Mrs. Marcos came to my room and we talked for an hour, and then she said, "Would you want to go to America?" I said, "Yes, Mrs. Marcos." And said, "There's a plane leaving at 6 o'clock. You can leave for America." So I say, "Praise the Lord, this is the great miracle."
Dito nga'y pinatunayan ni Marcos ang kanyang pagmamahal sa kanyang kaibigang si Ninoy. Dahil alam ni Marcos na makakatulong ang agarang operasyon ni Ninoy sa mas advanced na medical technology ng Amerika. Lumipad nga si Ninoy sa isang private plane na ipinadala ni Marcos kasama ng mga private medical assistants sa Amerika.
If you don't believe in God, then I tell you, there must be somebody up there.
And so here you are, healthy and vigorous.
Yes,
and
I arrived in Dallas, Texas, and the doctors confirmed all of the diagnoses in the Philippines. They told me, "You must go under the knife." And I said, "All right, if that's the decision, operate on me." So they opened my chest and they gave me this triple bypass.
Isa sa mga tinitignang sanhi ng pagkakaroon ng sakit sa puso ni Ninoy ay ang kanyang fasting ng 40 days and 40 nights. Ito'y base rin sa ginawa ni Jesus para magkaroon siya ng kalakasan ng pananampalataya.
Now, some doctors said that I developed this angina when I went on a hunger fast in 1975. I fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and I lost about 60 pounds. And that apparently started the whole process of my cardiac deterioration.
Naging successful nga ang operasyon ni Ninoy dahil na rin sa matinding pananampalataya niya sa Diyos. Hinayag pa nga ni Ninoy Aquino kay Pat Robinson sa nasabing programa ang kanyang spiritual journey kung paano niya mas nakilala ang Panginoon.
tell me about your relationship with the Lord in this solitary thing. Something unusual happened
Pat.
spiritually to you.
Well, you know, I'm a Catholic. I was born a Catholic, and 85% of the Filipino people are Christians, as you know that. But we never really read the Bible as Catholics. I don't know why. And we were instinctively Catholic. We believed in God. But as a young man, I had no time for God. I was too busy with my politics. I was moving on, and I thought I was self-contained. I thought, you know, on my own steam, I can make it. I only went to God when I needed His help, when the votes were coming in, and I'd say, "Dear Lord, help me." But when the votes are in, I forget the Lord. But when I was placed in deep solitary confinement, nobody to talk to, I became desperate. And here I started to question the fundamentals of my belief. Firstly, is there really a God? I began to doubt that. I said, if there is a God, why should I be here? What have I done? Why are the crooks all out? And so I asked the second question, was there a God when the children were gassed at Auschwitz, at Buchenwald, at Dachau? Where was He? Where is this God? And people are dying in the Sahel. And that was the doubt that assailed my mind. But then I felt there must be a God, because then all of this suffering will be useless. I mean, if I'm suffering like this and there's no God, who will ever reward me? Who will ever pay me back? So there must be a God. So I felt then, maybe it's a fool's consolation. I had to even invent him if there is no God, because that's the only way you can survive. Without him, Pat, you'll never make it. And as St. Paul said, I'm strongest when I was weakest. Yes. And I became strongest when I was down there on the floor in solitary confinement, alone. And it's only when he came to me that I really felt strongest. And therefore now, I have survived all of my vicissitudes because I know that there's this God interceding for us.
Isa pa sa nakatulong kay Ninoy na makilala si Kristo ay ang libro ng isang evangelical Christian author na si Charles Colson na naisulat noong 1976, ang librong pinamagatang Born Again.
The book that really encouraged me to go into deeper thinking is Chuck Colson's Born Again. Oh, yes. You know, I read this book and I said, oh, this guy is just a phony, you know, it's a gimmick. He was a Nixon man and he wants to use this, you know, to win the good graces of people. And I read this, but the more I read it, and I saw it there, he said, if you sit down with a yellow paper and write down your blessings as against your heartaches and frustrations, you will always know that you're always ahead. But the tragedy with us human beings, we only remember God on the negative way. Yes. We know Him when we're suffering. But what about the daily gifts that He gives us? The family, the children, the food, employment. We don't count that. So it was Chuck Colson who opened up my mind to this. And then I saw him in your program. So I started reading. So one day I was flying from Boston to Washington. And here's this man sitting down beside me in the plane. And I looked over and I said, excuse me, are you Mr. Colson? He said, yes. How did you know me? I said, I saw you in 700 Club and I read your book. And your book helped me. And we started talking, you see. And it was this man who showed me the way, and I told him I must apologize. I said, because, you know, when I first read your book, I thought you were a phony and you're a gimmick. But now that you're in your prison fellowship, really dedicating yourself to the Lord, I said, that's the greatest thing. And you know, I said, Chuck, I want to make a confession too. God gave me a gift, I said, a gift to articulate that brought me to the pinnacle of political power. I promised him in prison, I said, that if and when I regain my freedom, I'd like to use this gift now to witness for him. And look, I'm here, Pat. I mean, a year ago, who would ever believe that I would be sitting down with you? I was watching you. I was in solitary confinement and the death sentence. Now I'm here with you. And this is a miracle. I mean,
Pagkatapos nga ng successful na operation ni Ninoy, gusto na niyang bumalik kaagad sa Pilipinas. Dahil napagkaalaman niyang bumabagsak na din ang kalusugan ng kanyang kaibigan si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos. Dahil madalas na rin itong magkasakit at kailangan ni Marcos ng tulong sa leadership sa lumalalang komosyon ng gobyerno laban sa mga rebeldeng grupo. Madalas nga mag-usap ang dalawa sa telepono, ngunit sabi ng Pangulong Marcos na mas magandang manatili na lang muna siya sa Amerika dahil natunugan ni Marcos ang plano ng ibang mga rebeldeng grupo, ang planong pagpatay kay Ninoy dahil kumakampi siya sa administrasyong Marcos. Si Ninoy Aquino kasi ang pinagpaplanuhan ng administrasyong Marcos na pumalit sa pwesto bilang Pangulo upang maipagpatuloy niya ang mga nasimulang proyekto at plano ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos. Ininsist nga niya na siya'y umuwi sa ating bansa. Ngunit gabi, bago pa ng kanyang pag-uwi, ipinag-utos na ni Marcos ang 1,000 mga pulis at armies na bantayan ang palibot ng airport para sa seguridad ng kanyang kaibigang si Ninoy. At sa gabi din na yon, bago ang araw ng paglipad ni Ninoy, siya ay taimtim na nalangin sa Panginoon. Sa mahabang mga oras niya sa panalangin, ibinuhos niya at isinurrender niya ang kanyang buong puso sa Panginoon. Na anuman ang mangyari sa kanya, ihanda nawa ng Diyos ang kanyang sarili na harapin ang pagsubok na kakaharapin niya sa Pilipinas. Nito lalong lumiyab ang kanyang relasyon kay Kristo. At sa kanyang pag-uwi, naging matunog sa Pilipinas ang muling pagbabalik nito na halos lahat ng media reporters at ibang mga mamamayan sa panahong iyan ay inabangan ang muling pagbabalik ni Ninoy sa Pilipinas. August 21, 1983, sa gitna ng malakas na sinag ng araw, lumapag ang eroplanong sinakyan ni Ninoy at sa kanyang pagbaba, may isang lalaking biglang tumakbo sa kanyang likuran at binaril sa ulo si Senator Ninoy Aquino Jr. at nagulantang ang lahat dahil live coverage pa ang nasabing insidente. Sa matinding tama ng baril sa kanyang ulo, bumuhos ang maraming dugo sa kanyang katawan na agaran niyang kinamatay. Si Senator Benigno Simeon Ninoy Aquino Jr. Namatay man sa pisikal na katawan, ngunit ang kanyang relasyon sa Diyos kay Jesucristo ay buhay na buhay at balang araw may pag-asang mamanahin niya ang buhay na walang hanggan. Sabi nga sa isang Bible verse, if we live, it's to honor the Lord. And if we die, it's to honor the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord.
Suffering can do two ways. It can break you or make you.
All right.
In my particular instance, I welcomed it as an opportunity. With this suffering, I knew that God cared for me. Because if He didn't care for me, He won't make me suffer. The message is, welcome your suffering, because God will never give you a suffering that will break you. It's only a manifestation of His love, I think, that He makes us suffer to really realize Him. Because when we are in glory, we don't know Him. But when we suffer, we remember Him. So I think that's the message.
Controversy, ang librong nakakalam ng ating hinaharap, at base sa aking experience, lalo ko pang naintindihan ang ibig sabihin ng mga binabanggit sa Daniel at Revelation, at paano mo mas maintindihan ang mga bagay na nangyayari sa sanlibutan, at paano mo maihanda ang iyong sarili sa hinaharap. Ang Great Controversy ay hindi lamang isang libro, kundi ito ay isang telescope upang mas maintindihan mo ang binabanggit ng Biblia at makita mo ang plano ng kaaway upang sirain tayo sa hinaharap, at upang makita mo rin kung paano magtatagumpay ang ating Panginoong Diyos sa buhay natin sa hinaharap. Mula sa 4,900, ito ay nasa 799 na lamang, at limited stocks lang talaga dahil pinag-aagawan ngayon ito sa merkado. Kaya kung interesado ka, ay click mo sa ibaba ang link para sa iyong order.